All right, good morning. It is 8 o'clock on this 4th of July. I hope you guys are having a great start to your day. You know what? Maybe you're seeing this as a recording because you slept in, because why not? It's a holiday and you're enjoying some time with the family, hopefully, or however you choose to spend the holiday. But I got to say, from a weather perspective, I can remember very few 4th of July setups like this. I go back to 2014. There was a cool air wedge set up over the Appalachian Mountains, and I think it had to do with a weakening tropical system. Either way, it brought dry air to the southeast, and it was much cooler on that particular day. But I'm looking here and I'm seeing, okay, we're going to be in the 90s, but where you're seeing these oranges, that is dry air, and that makes a huge difference. If you've lived in Alabama a long time, you know what the presence of water can do to the atmosphere, and this is going to really help to mitigate that oppressive feeling. So here's a look at the composite radar, and if we look off here, this is the front that moved through. You see the coinciding low. This is what has been discussed as potential tropical development here. I don't know that we will see anything, but we're going to start there for the purposes of this. So we'll jump out to the Atlantic, and there's just nothing happening. We call the MDR, the main development region, the Atlantic, the Caribbean, all the way up into the Gulf. But this is the one area, and again, the NHC is still giving this some potential for development. I'm not, completely against it being formed. I just don't understand. It's 60% chance of development, which is higher than I would have guessed, but its probability of having tropical depression force winds, which is not very high to begin with, is about 60 to 70% on depending what model you look at. This is the European model, which has handled it pretty well. Um, Either way, we name these things, and I think sometimes people get the idea that they're more significant than they are. This would be a rainmaker. It's not a big wind maker, but a lot of the public, when they hear tropical system or tropical depression, I think there's winds that come with it, and that's just not what this is. Rough surf along some of the barrier islands, maybe the Carolinas over the weekend, but it's just rain. Will it get a name? Maybe, but that I don't think is a very impactful system, and it certainly won't have a bearing on our forecast here in Alabama. I want to take a look at temperatures here this morning because it felt nice. Again, the number's not going to look that different. It's just after 8 o'clock. We're in the mid 70s. However, dew points were in the mid 60s this morning, and that made a world of difference here in terms of that tangible air. So let's talk about your future view. A lot of folks have fireworks plans here. So this is this evening at 5. And again, a lot of obviously fireworks don't get going until dusk, which is sometime between 8:30 and 9 for much of the state. But you look at 8:20. I mean, most of the state is probably dry. It's the summertime, so like daytime heating, you could easily get a pop up or two. But I think most of the state and really a lot of the southeast ends up staying pretty dry through the evening forecast. So we go beyond there. We head into our holiday weekend. This is now Saturday morning, and nothing happening all across the southeast. We go to Saturday afternoon, and Saturday might end up being the driest day of the weekend as we progress through. I mean, we will have east to northeasterly winds, and that's going to mean limited rain chances again. Answer keys, models, not the same thing. They give us a rough idea. This is a look at the rain chances on Saturday. Very much limited to the southern third of Alabama, and what this really is you've got that low that we talked about, that remnant stalled front, plus your sea breeze front. Those are really the two mechanisms probably in play here, with much of central Alabama being omitted from that organized, convective rain thread here. So again, rain chances on the lower end of things here, getting slightly higher on Sunday. We'll see this trend as we head into the next week, is each day a little bit higher rain chance, but overall the pattern is dry. Saturday's highs across the state. Mid 90s to the south, mid 90s to the north. We can get hot just about everywhere across Alabama. And into Sunday we go, same deal. A little bit cooler down in Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia counties, the Florida Big Bend, Panhandle area. That's just indicating, like I showed you with those rain chances, you see where that overlaps. Higher rain chances in that part of the country just drops those high temperatures a little bit. You want to go long range? Let's go long range. Sunday, 5 o'clock. We are looking at the low that we were just talking about moving up the coastline. So here it is, likely depicted here. And your center would be right about here. And again, you can have a low that isn't tropical, which is what I think this will be. But this will hover over the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream is a warm current that runs next to Florida and right up the Atlantic coastline, and will sometimes act to enhance these subtropical features. So that is certainly a possibility. By Monday afternoon, we are starting to see evidence of a front pushing in, and this is going to be associated with some higher moisture content, okay? So we start to have return flow, and that's going to bring about, you know, higher moisture levels and eventually better rain chances for us. But that's Monday afternoon. Here's Tuesday afternoon at about the same time, about 3 o'clock, and you can just see our overall rain chances start to increase. That tropical system becomes an afterthought out in the upper Atlantic or in the northern Atlantic. That's kind of our forecast here. And if I had to kind of quantify it all together, I'd say our stretch of weather is oddly quiet for summertime. These are a look at rain totals. So when I look at this 7-day, as we talked about, you know, last week, was it Friday? Friday we had storms that dropped 2.5+ inches of rain in less than an hour's time in random spots of the Birmingham Metro. No global model can account for that. No 7-day, accumulation probability map can account for that. But you look at a map like this and you see, okay, anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to about an inch. That tells me convective daily thunderstorms, that there's nothing really organized coming in here. So a kind of quiet stretch of weather here for Alabama, and then we'll take it out to the big view here. The CPC 8 to 14 day outlook, and this is going to take us right through July 18th, which, whew, shit, slow down, right? I remember as a kid, I totally thought summer lasted longer than it does now. But let's go to, for the heck of it, let's go to our temperature 6 to 10 day outlook. So this would take it, really into just next week versus, but there's not a huge change in our 8 to, so there's back to 8 to 14, there's your 6 to 10. The general idea, small ridging in the east, big ridging in the west, a little bit of troughing in the middle of the country. So a setup like that would basically call for our weather pattern to be like this. You got a ridge axis here, here's your trough axis, another ridge. So this would most likely be where we've got the rain, this would be some sunshine, and this would be some sunshine, of course, with scattered storms. So hopefully you love the doodling there. So that's a look at your forecast discussion for this July 4th. Again, hope you and your family are well. Thankful for all the military service members. I know it's not a direct holiday for that, but always appreciative of those who have served and those families who are served, because it's people like that who allow us to do like this, what we do on a day-to-day basis. So certainly appreciate that.